It seems to me, particularly in recent years, there's been a revolt against things such as vaccine.
You noticed?
I did. I've noticed. But what about the theory that, listen, physicians and other scientists with the best of intentions give too many vaccines to a child too early?
There's literally no scientific evidence backing that up. It can all be traced back to a study that was done by Andrew Wakefield that, was kind of miscovered by the media because he presented it as saying that there were issues with vaccines that his study didn't actually involve. And, once that kind of germ of an idea gets in people's minds, it just continues to take off. And when maybe people caught on to the fact that thimerosal wasn't in vaccines anymore, that are mostly in ones used in the U.S., and that maybe it wasn't like such there is no link to autism, but maybe people kind of nudged along with that. Then they switched to, there are just too many vaccines at once, kids can't handle it. But there's no evidence of that, and so it's just people kind of grasping at reasons to do that.
But as increasing numbers of people, and I don't want to misrepresent this, you don't have a wave of anti-vaccine, but it's been growing in recent years.
Yeah, and with liberals primarily. So that's another example of the fact that people act as though it's all kind of the Republican Party that's against it, but the anti-vax movement really started with more liberal folk.
And if it takes real hold, the price the rest of us will pay is what?
The issue with vaccines is that one of the reasons they're most effective is because of this concept of herd immunity, where if everyone's vaccinated, it protects people who aren't vaccinated, and also it just, can help eradicate a disease. And parents who are anti-vaxxers often kind of rely on the idea of herd immunity to protect their own kids. They're like, I don't have to have like a role in protecting society. Like, I'll just, my kid will be fine. But there are, herd immunity requires a certain number of people to be vaccinated. Leaving your kid out when they don't need to means that children who can't be vaccinated, whether it's because of allergies or their own illnesses, they're not protected. And it just is this general kind of ignoring of how public health works and how research works. And personally, I think a large part of it is that most parents in America have never seen a case of measles or polio. And so they don't get how significant it is, how bad these diseases can get. And so it's hard to wrap your mind around how bad things can be when you've, your entire life it's been something that's not around.
What a good point, because we know, anybody who studied American history, we used to go through, and not that long ago, measles epidemics.
Yeah.
Which wiped out literally many thousands of people.
Yeah.
And polio, when I was a child, was every mother's dread. But now the assumption is we've wiped out polio, we've wiped out measles.
Yeah.
But your point is what? If you don't continue the vaccines,
then they're going to come back. And then we'll learn a very hard lesson, and hopefully vaccines will, have a resurgence. But hopefully we won't. Hopefully it won't have to get so bad that that kind of terror takes hold again, and people nudge along to vaccines. I mean, it's like one of the greatest discoveries of medicine in history, and so the idea that people are just like, oh, I don't need to worry about that, is very disconcerting.